We are once again live from the show floor here at Exhibit Hall E in the Oregon Convention Center in Portland, Oregon. Folks are getting out of the latest session, going around to get some, it looks like potato chips. Lots of potato chips. And you know what? I could really use some potato chips, but right now we're here with you. Hi, my name is Mark Sherriff, and welcome to the SIGCSE Coffee Break show about everything going on at the 2024 Technical Symposium. And I'm joined today by...
I'm Michael Ball.
Where are you from, Michael?
I'm a lecturer at UC Berkeley, and this is my 11th time here at SIGCSE.
Oh, gosh. Wow. 11th time?
Including 2020, which we'll get to in a moment.
So we always have to bring that up. Does 2020 count?
It counts.
It counts? Okay, it counts. It counts. Well, this is your first time helping me host the show, which is really, I'm very thankful. Thank you for joining us. But one of the reasons that I wanted Michael to join us is when we went to emergency remote teaching, if there was one person who had the absolute best setup at home for teaching, it was this guy. So first, tell people what your setup was like.
Yeah, so to be clear, my setup when we went remote at the beginning wasn't what it turned into be. It evolved over the course of months and then years. But at home, I have a sort of professional video camera behind my monitor, and I decided to mount some studio lighting.
Wait, studio lighting?
Yes. I'll try and find a picture. There's some pictures in our workshop from 2021, which is online that we did. But basically, I turned my office into a streaming studio for the purposes of remote teaching. My friends who visit think I moonlight as a Twitch streamer. That's not the case. It's all for the students.
It's all for the, of course, it's all for the students. So you got the green screen.
Yeah.
So how do you have your green screen set up?
Yeah. So my green screen at home, because it's sort of my main den that's shared with my roommate. It's on two poles that are sort of removable. So it's actually been down for the last few months. I haven't been teaching as much. I have a nice bookshelf, for the sort of blurry Zoom background.
Yeah, of course.
But when I put it up, it's on two sort of poles that sort of hold it up. And I use that for video recording when I'm doing extended Zoom sessions, workshops, things like that.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to sort of put up and pull down. But mainly, that bookshelf also holds sort of the other supplies that we might need for evening nights in our house.
Oh, of course, of course. It's interesting to think about how we have started changing the way we arrange our offices now, specifically so that, I'm going to be on Zoom calls. Yes. I'm going to make sure I have this nice piece of artwork so people think I'm fancy or something like that behind me. I noticed that I put something behind me which was Lego art. I was like, okay, that kind of works.
Yeah, I have some Legos. I have last year, this was last year when one of the first James Webb images came out. I made a print for myself. So that's right in the middle of my Zoom background, mostly just because it's awesome and colorful.
Well, we know you at home don't necessarily have your Zoom backgrounds up right now because you're joining us watching. If you have anything you want to chat about, if you have any questions, I'm pulling it up right now. You can always text us through Whova, through the chat for the session that is going on right now. Hopefully you are enjoying whatever you have been seeing right now. And we have with us one of the hybrid chairs to talk about how hybrid's been working. Della, please come on and join us. Please introduce yourself to everyone at home again. I know you introduced during the plenary, but...
Yes, I am Della Yazan Sepas. I'm the hybrid experience co-chair this year, along with my other co-chair, Kemi. We have been working really hard to bring for the online participants an engaging experience so that they could also get to be involved in what's going on here.
So what have been some of the challenges for hybrid for this year versus maybe even last year?
Well, every year has its own challenges. I think this year particularly we tried to, hybrid is a little bit, online and hybrid is a little bit smaller, so we have it's more like limited sessions, but in order to make sure that the whole experience was streamlined, that was challenging, just make sure that everything is in order, like the tech, all of that was probably same thing went on last year, but every year new things come up. So that has been, it's been exciting, but it's also been kind of has its own moments of challenge as well.
Right.
So, since not all the sessions are up for hybrid, how do people know what's going to be, projected remotely? How do people get where they need to go? And if they're attending in person, can they also see some of those hybrid events as well?
Yes, absolutely. So if you are attending online and you want to specifically filter out and find those online sessions, there are two places. One is the SIGCSE website, which you can use the filters that we have and the badges, which are hybrid sessions, online sessions, and online only sessions. And on Whova Agenda, you can do the same thing. There's a filter tab. If you use that filter, you can also filter the sessions that are online, hybrid, and online only. So the difference a little bit between the online and online only, because I know there was a little bit confusion between that, is that I have some online sessions, which are mainly the paper sessions, the online paper sessions.
Right.
These are mainly on Zoom. So the presenters are usually online and the sessions are conducted on Zoom. However, we are projecting that Zoom session in an actual physical room here in the conference center and the convention center, so that if there is an in-person attendee who does not have their laptop with them but wants to attend that online session, they could easily go into room E146 and they could attend those sessions.
Okay. Interesting. So I know that there's always challenges, as we just discussed, but there's always going to be instances where people want to give some feedback. So if there are some thoughts from the people who are watching at home, like things that you like, things that you thought could need to be improved. One, volunteer. That's all. If you want to be involved and help make things, I think you're doing a great job, but we always need more people to come in and keep doing stuff. But how can people give feedback?
I think Whova is a really good way to get connected with the chairs, the committee members, and basically anyone you want to connect to. So on Whova, you could direct message someone, but there's also in the community tab, there's a topic that's called Ask the Organizers, and that's a direct way to ask any questions you have or any feedback you have. Give to us. We are constantly reading that, monitoring it, so we'll make sure that we read it out.
So that sounds as terrifying as anonymous feedback when I turned that on for my classes, because anonymity plus internet typically doesn't necessarily mean good comments. So hopefully people will use that responsibly.
It's not anonymous.
Okay, good.
Because,
Okay.
Yeah, you have a Whova profile, so we'll kind of see your name.
We can track you down.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, we can certainly find you.
There will be the end of the conference evaluation form too, and just think about those student evaluations when you fill that out.
Yes.
Think about those students, and then know that I've been on a past conference committee. Mark's been on many. We do read those, right? As instructors, we read those. As conference organizers, we read them all as well.
Yeah, we certainly need them. So, thank you so much for all of your work with doing the hybrid stuff. It is not the easiest thing, and particularly as we've I'm wearing the 2021 shirt here when it was fully virtual and how it's continued to evolve. So, look forward to seeing what happens in 25.
Yes, we do. Yes, thank you so much for having me, and I hope everyone enjoys their either online or in-person presence here at.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Della.
Awesome. Thank you.
So, thinking about online and thinking about online teaching, when we went to emergency online teaching, we all immediately had to become professional videographers.
Yeah.
And you've got your setup, I have my setup.
Yeah.
So I'm actually kind of curious, how have your classes changed since then? Do you still use some of that material?
Yeah. So, one of the things that I think has been really interesting for all of us, right, is that even today, every single quarter or semester has felt like, either a major or minor change in how we interact with students. First, it was all remote, then some hybrid in person, maybe more remote, more. Now we're kind of mostly back in person. And so what I would say is, for us at Berkeley, we have these really large classes. So we've always been in a world where online recordings are basically expected by the vast majority of students. And so for me, one of the most powerful things was seeing Zoom, chat, and other platforms as a means of real-time engagement with my students. So today in the class, when I'm up there, and largely I'm in a large lecture hall, it is not the best form for engagement. But what I do is I use Ed as the chat platform, and I create one Q&A thread for every single lecture.
For every lecture?
Every lecture, and I have a laptop and an iPad up with me. And so in real time, as I'm talking, students, I invite them to ask questions. Some of them actually follow along on their computers, typing things out. Obviously, I can't really debug their Python error messages in real time. But when I get conceptual questions, when someone says, hey, this is a recursive function, why, this recursive function, someone asked, right? It looks like there's a lot of recursive calls. How can this possibly be efficient? And what they didn't know is that's going to be, next week's topic.
Oh yeah, of course.
But they're asking the right questions. So to me, what's really fun about that, it's anonymous. So, that's a perfect question for a student to ask. But if they're a little bit afraid, they can ask them anonymously, and I can, compared to just having someone raise their hand for 5 minutes, I get to look at my iPad, wait a minute, finish up the slide, and say, here's a question. And the other really great thing about this that I've really loved is, after lecture, I and my TAs go back and also write written comments.
That's really handy.
To these things, so that anyone who's watching the recording or following up, what we have now is a thread for every lecture with a bunch of Q&A topical questions, some just logistical, right? That's fine. But they all get a response, and students actually have sort of learned on Ed, you can track follow-up whether you need a response or not. So if they feel like my answer live is good enough, they'll just mark it resolved themselves, and we'll know we don't need to write as much. But if we write more, it just helps other students provide a link, get clarity.
So along those lines, so one of the skills I know that a lot of us had to work on was being able to manage a classroom in two different modalities at the same time. So do you still find that challenging, or do you think that you've gotten like really good at it now, and you just can just watch all the inputs?
I think it is challenging, but I think it's one of those things that when you practice at it, you learn to get good at it. And one of the things I'd say is, there's probably a little bit of just like ADHD brain. I like having 5 things going on at once. It's helpful for me to have, a second iPad up there. The AV department one semester in one of the lecture halls actually brought a whole second computer monitor when I was doing synchronous Zoom and in a lecture hall, so I could monitor the actual Zoom feed as well. And that was really helpful. But for me, it's really just a practice of, I don't need to actually stare at 2 different things all the time. I just need to make a moment of, when I ask for questions of students in the room, I pause, I also check and read the ed thread. And similar of repeating the question, I remind myself to get better at listening, or not listening, reading the ed question before I answer it. So students in the room, they can't see exactly which of the 5 questions I'm looking at. But it makes the whole experience sort of, once you get practice with it, I find myself that it really helps.
Interesting. One thing that I've noticed, the rereading of a question, that's something that we've had to learn as session chairs forever, right?
Yeah.
Or just repeating a question because you can't necessarily hear it. I was recording my lectures pretty consistently post-COVID.
Yeah.
I'm still in a mask. I'm still COVID for me, apparently. But I was still recording my lectures, and my attendance was dropping just significantly because UVA students, I love you, but they want to min-max their opportunities as much as possible. If they can time shift my class, that's what they're going to do. And I know for me, when I have a class of 150, and for one of my sections of 150, and only 20 people show up, it's hard to get get that energy up. And so one of my colleagues who I'm teaching with this semester said, "Didn't you make a whole bunch of YouTube videos during COVID?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, I did." It's like, just use those. Stop recording. So I stopped and am leaning on the pre-recorded material, and my attendance has gone back up. Now, this is, what happens at UVA or what happens at Berkeley is going to be different than what happens at NC State or at Bryn Mawr or name your school.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to think about, how do we learn from each other about what works and what doesn't work and how to keep this moving forward.
Yeah.
So anyway, well, great. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that our friends at home do know what is still coming up. Looking at the syllabus for the rest of the day, the next thing that we have for our hybrid attendees and for folks that are here is this panel on interviewing the teaching faculty hiring process. And as someone at a school that is hiring teaching faculty, hey, apply to come to UVA. It's It's dog eat dog out there, isn't it?
And Berkeley we moved up our schedule to wrap up things before we went to SIGCSE, so we just came off a 2-day faculty meeting on hiring. But what I do see...
Was it 2 days, like the whole, like
we do 2 whole days, and not just teaching faculty, that's for
Do you have to stay the night? Do you get in your jammies? It's a sleepover?
We call it a retreat, but it's really just sort of on campus but off campus.
Okay.
But, you know, it's a great way to meet colleagues.
Why is it that every CS faculty retreat is just going to the conference room down the hallway? I think that, come on.
In fairness, ours is like 1.5 miles off campus. It's just far enough. It's just far enough that you can't really go to lecture.
Okay, all right.
But what I would say is I do see a lot of job seeker and a lot of hiring badges out there. So in both cases, it's going to be useful information, I believe.
The thing I noticed, and obviously, folks at home, you couldn't see this, and I don't have one on, but the
same color.
job seeker and the I'm hiring ribbons are the same color, which is good and bad, but they're both the most neon yellow color possible, so you could just be spotting people across the hall.
Exactly.
I need to go talk to that person. I wish you could be here with us on the floor. So, you know, because all of our sponsors are here. They have so much cool stuff going on. So I went around the floor for you. Here's a look of what we have going on here. All right, just entered the show floor, and immediately we say, hey, it's our friends from Mongo. How are y'all doing?
We're doing well, and hope everyone's having a wonderful virtual conference. We miss seeing you here, and hope you're having an awesome time.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Hey, so what does MongoDB have for us here on the floor today?
Well, funny you should ask. We're here with MongoDB for Academia. This is our program to support educators in teaching and students in learning MongoDB. By joining the MongoDB for Academia program at mongodb.com/academia, you as an educator are immediately eligible to receive $500 in Atlas credits, as well as teaching materials to easily integrate into your courses.
Oh, that's fantastic. Great. And what was that URL one more time that folks should go to?
We are MongoDB for Academia at mongodb.com/academia.
Here's some folks from Ed Discussion. Hey, how are y'all doing?
Doing well.
Great, thanks.
Fantastic. Hey, could you tell something to our hybrid attendees about what y'all are about?
Yeah, so we're Ed Discussion. We're an online Q&A platform, and you can check us out at edstem.org.
Great. What are some of the key features of your platform that you think folks would really get into?
Runnable code snippets, so you can actually post code in your comments that students can run and modify. There's also great support for online discussion megathreads and private comments for students that maybe want to talk about private matters.
Oh, that's super. One more time, what was that URL?
Edstem.org, edstem.org.
Here's our friends at Dockable. Hey, how's it going?
Hi, good. So let me tell you about Dockable. Dockable is basically an environment you can host in the cloud, and it doesn't just have like Python like you would in a Jupyter notebook, but you can have any language, and instructors have used this for creating their course content, exercises and workshops to embed YouTube videos, slides, code editors, and this is all stuff you could update in real time and just share it out with your students with a simple link.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yep.
If someone wanted to have more information, where should they go?
They could just visit dockable.cloud, or they could contact hello@dockable.cloud.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks.
Always with one of the coolest booths, our friends at GitHub. Hey, Elise, how are you?
Hello, hey everyone. Yeah, welcome to SIGCSE. Welcome to the GitHub booth. I'm sorry that we can't get you all stickers, but you definitely, so if you don't have free Copilot and teacher benefits yet, we've got gh.io/SIGCSE 2024. You can go there and get expedited benefits. We also launched ORCID IDs on the GitHub profile last week, which we're pretty excited about. So if you've got one, go and add it to your profile. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah, I'd say SIGCSE attendees, you should have an ORCID ID because that's how we're going to have to submit papers to ACM at some point.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
Great, thank you so much.
Yeah, all right. Have a great rest of the day.
Hey, it's Lauren and Susan from CRA. What do y'all have for us this year on the floor?
Hi, so with CRAWP, we have lots of programs for computer science undergraduate, graduate students, and faculty and researchers. So we have lots of resources that can help you and your students advance their computer science careers and focus on widening participation. So if you want to check out our website, you can go to this QR code or come by our booth and sign up for our mailing
QR
list.
code.
Yes.
Look, pause the video and get the QR code. There we go.
All right, so send your students, your grad students, to CRA grad cohort. It's a 2-day mentoring workshop. And send your undergrads to apply so they can do research with faculty, especially those who are underrepresented.
Awesome. Oh, here we are at the CS for All booth. Hey, how's it going, Leanne?
Hey, Mark, how you doing?
I'm doing great. What do y'all have on the floor for us this year?
So CS for All is a broadening participation alliance, and this year we have some really excited stuff. Aside from the special CS for All ribbons, we know how important the ribbons are at SIGCSE. We also are recruiting researcher members. If you're not a member of CS for All, please, please, please come and join us. It's free, and we have lots of good benefits. And if you are, please make sure that your information is correct. We've got people who are listed like 4 jobs ago.
Oh no.
And we are recruiting for focus groups. We want to hear from the SIGCSE community. We want to understand what it is that we can do better to support you and how we can engage you in broadening participation in computing.
Awesome. Awesome. And I'll get right down here. Pause the video. There's the QR code. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark. Have a great day.
Hey, here's our friends at Code Grade. Hey, Thomas. Hi, Yuri. How's it going?
Hi, it's going well. So Code Grade is here, and we bring coding assignments through your LMS. So we're basically an LTI plugin through which you can do coding projects, coding quizzes, and coding assignments. If you want to learn more, go to codegrade.com and we can book a meeting.
Oh, fantastic. This looks like this is plugged right into Canvas. Is that?
That's correct. Yeah, it's all inside Canvas through LTI or any other learning management system. Students get an editor, they write code, they press run, and they get feedback automatically.
And you go ahead to codegrade.com for more information.
Yes, thank you so much, Mark.
Fantastic. Thanks.
All right.
Thank you so much to all of our supporters. We wish you could be here to walk around and see all that stuff. But you know what? You still can participate. You absolutely can go to their websites. You can, utilize the materials that they are putting out there, because everything that you do just shows, how much value that these sponsors give to us as an organization, because we could not do the Technical Symposium or the virtual part of the Technical Symposium without the help.
And I'll speak both as an instructor and as a former exhibitor and sponsor when I was at GradeScope. The feedback that instructors provide is incredibly useful. No one who isn't a CS instructor really understands what the heck goes on in our classrooms. These people are all awesome, but they need our input to make products that actually work for us. Because guess what? We do things a little differently than most people expect. And so we need tools that might work a little differently than people, expect. So our exhibitors really appreciate when we as faculty and students and educators come and give valuable feedback. When you're on the show floor, it's one of the best things. When you open up that email, almost everyone will let you just reply and send them feedback. And it's super helpful being on the other side as well.
So I completely forgot you were a part of GradeScope. I mean, I knew it, but then you said it. So and we got a little bit of time. I'm kind of curious, what was it like? Because I'm sure many of you watching, I use GradeScope all the time. What was it like working on that project? Like getting feedback from faculty?
So I'll say, I haven't worked with the team for a couple years. My first sort of year and a half of teaching, I was consulting part-time, but I was full-time right when I finished Berkeley. It started out as a startup out of Berkeley. Actually, my very first, one of the earliest SIGCSEs at GradeScope was out. I wasn't a member of the team yet, but they were fixing some bugs, and I was by the booth and just started giving a demo. That kind of led to a job because I helped. I used the prototype. So
unsolicited job advice is just go fix other people's. Okay, all right.
I used it every day as a TA.
Okay.
What I would say is, for me, especially as an instructor, is standing at a booth talking to other instructors about how they use their courses is super fun. You would not believe the creative ways that we as CS faculty, or maybe you would, come up with late policies. Some of them involve exponential decay algorithms. And so I, as the product person, get to figure out, well, should I build exponential decay into a drop-down menu on a website? Okay, probably not that one. But learning from people firsthand what the actual context of their classrooms are is why it's so great for companies to come and talk with faculty, because every classroom is different, and yet we all do have similar needs in getting feedback or grades or hosting a development environment, databases, whatever it might be.
I never thought, CS faculty have got to be some of the worst customers ever, or at least stakeholders, because of things like that. Because as soon as you said that, I thought of, oh wait, I know this person is doing specification grading, and they do a weird way. Like, could you build that into Gradescope?
I mean,
oh my gosh.
Say,
and then, of course, if integration with Canvas doesn't work instantly, the CS person's just like, oh.
You know, like our students, we're both very good at pointing out problems and sometimes not the best at recognizing that the solution is more complicated than it initially appears. But you get some really detailed feedback from CS instructors that you don't get from anywhere else. And so that is actually really fun to work with at times, too.
So just Gradescope, you were with it, and then they were purchased by Turnitin, and so that kind of decoupled yourself from it at that point.
I was at Turnitin for a year and some as a full-time employee, and another year and a half or so, or 2 years as a consultant.
Interesting. Very interesting. I mean, I know that they continue to make improvements on the product. We haven't seen them on the show floor, actually, in several years.
Yeah. I wish I knew. I wish
Go
I'd be
work
back.
on that.
Yeah.
Go work on that.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us here for the episode 2 of 2024. There's so much stuff still going on here at the conference. I am going to take my camera around the reception tonight, not to brag about the food, but hopefully to give another just view of good to see folks around, good to see folks doing fun and exciting things. Michael, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me host. It's been really fun. Do open the Hoover app, whether you're remote or in person. Share some photos, meet some new friends. Especially for the students that might be online.
Yes.
Use Hoover, reach out. As faculty members, I know we can be intimidating, but we want to hear from you. You're some of the most awesome people. Like, you're a student, you care about education, you're doing research, furthering your learning, TAing. Regardless of where you're at, it's super amazing to see that you're all here. So always a reminder to, send us an email, drop us a question, ask about a research paper. We all love hearing ourselves talk. That's why we teach.
I don't know about you, but compared to other conferences I go to, whether it be like I should name them. That could get me in trouble. But I find that the SIGCSE crowd is probably is the most welcoming, is the most open, is the most just everyone in for it from the start. I guess because it's teachers and it's usually around spring break time and we're all just let me tell you how horrible things are going right now.
I'll say I've been coming since I was a student. This group is no small part in why I continue to be a faculty member and involved in education. I have former students and maybe future students. This group is really an awesome group for building a community, being interested in education. So if you're a student out there especially, keep up at it. We want to see you around.
Absolutely. Thank you again for being, if you're going to keep knocking out of the park, I'm going to make you keep co-hosting.
All right.
Thanks to the 2024 team, to the OCC staff, to DL Plan, as always. Our theme song this year is Embrace the New Day. I thought it was the perfect thing we possibly could when we're going back to Portland. Thank you for watching at home. Take care. Be safe. We'll see you next time. Bye.